What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sometimes Serious podcast, where we're sometimes serious all the time. On this week's episode, we talk about some crazy stuff, and I have to play devil's advocate. But before we get into it, remember to smash that like and subscribe button and head down into those comments and tell us what you think about the show. If I wasn't already dead inside, then that intro would have killed me for sure. I'm your host, Philip Edwards, and as always, joining me is my co-founder, Michael Palmer.
Hello. That
So,
was no. Can you never do that again? Can you promise me that so long as we keep this show alive, you're never doing that again? Please.
just as a little bit of context for everyone listening, every time before we start recording, we have to do audio tests and we test everyone's levels to make sure that people aren't echoing, there's no background noise, etc., etc., etc. And I'm always the one that has to do it, and I always do that YouTuber voice, and I talk about a Minecraft Let's Play server. So instead, this week, I decided I'd do the intro in it.
And I immediately want to set fire to it and him.
I mean, so do I. All
Oh
right,
dear.
let's get into it, and let's start off with a few quick and light topics, just covering some updates to stories that we have previously covered. The U.S. Army and Twitch.
Yes.
Good news. Good news slash bad
Oh.
news.
Oh.
Good news. You can go on there, or you could go on there and type war crimes in, and they would not be allowed to ban you. Because it's a government-run
Excellent.
thing, because the Twitch is technically owned by the government, your First Amendment rights do work. So they cannot ban you, because you have the right to free speech. So it was actually
Interesting.
a judge passed it and saw the case and went, yeah, no, you're not allowed to ban people because of their
So
First Amendment rights.
hold on. Twitch is not government owned. Twitch is owned
Correct.
by Amazon, if I remember rightly.
Correct.
And as such, the same rules that YouTube upholds, Twitch sort of upholds, like it's their platform, they decide, not decided by your rights, etc.
Yep.
But because the stream is a government official stream, it
Yep.
completely bypasses that and is immediately, nope.
Yep. Because
I
it
love it.
technically became a government forum, your rights are applicable there. So it was found that they could not
Oh, I
ban
love it.
anyone and they had to unban everyone. Now, obviously that happened,
Yes.
and there was a wave of just trolls, which in this instance I support the trolls in this one. So all of them, the US Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, they all got off Twitch. Yeah, they all released official statements saying we're not going to do it. The
Oh,
the good bad bit
the
is
good bad bit.
AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
Okay.
the woman, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
She proposed a bill to go through that would enact a law to stop the army or the navy or whatever from using sites like Twitch to recruit, because that was a big
Excellent.
thing.
Yeah. Good.
And hell yeah, amazing. Oh my God, it's going to go through. It was heard today. It was pretty comfortably shot down.
What?
Pretty much every
How?
single conservative voted against it, and something like 130 odd Democrats also voted against it. So it was shot down because they don't understand Twitch. On AOC's Twitter, she was commenting about how annoying it was that she had to explain to Congress what Twitch was. It's like explaining to your grandparents what video games are. So, yeah, you're never quite gonna get it, are you? Never quite
See,
gonna get there.
you and I have had this conversation before. I can't remember if it was on stream or not, but it does irk me that these positions are filled by people who do not keep up with technology and any form of social trend.
Yep.
So you actually miss out on a big chunk of what actually matters. And while I say it in a way that it's in a way that makes Twitch seem like it's one of the most important things in the world, which it's not. There's far more important things. It is, in a sense, of the influence it carries towards our generation and those younger. It's and to some older as well, but it's one of those things where you really need to have your finger on the pulse to actually understand, and you shouldn't be allowed to be in that seat of power without that knowledge.
Yeah, it's just the problem is the American base for voters is actually a lot older. Generally, it's a lot harder to get younger people out to the polls, so older people vote in for older people because obviously change is scary, which leads to situations like this. I'm certain it won't be the end of it. I'm certain there will be continued pushes, and I'm pretty sure Twitch will have a thing or two to say about it, hopefully. They've been pretty on the ball lately, where they've just kind of been swinging their ban hammer left and right. In the same vein, I don't know how many weeks ago it was, but we talked about the UK House of Lords saying that loot boxes had to be classified as gambling immediately.
I'm sure that was over a month ago now.
Um, there's been an update on the European front. The European front say that it's not gambling. However,
They're
and
idiots.
this is a big however, hold on, this is a big however. In their big report, they said it shouldn't be a gambling issue. It should be a consumer protection issue, giving them a wide variety of extra
Okay.
powers.
Okay.
They've basically said if we say it's gambling, then we can only regulate it under gambling. If we say it's consumer protection, then not only can we go after loot boxes, but we can go after seedy microtransactions. We can go after seedy game practices like slowing down progression deliberately so you
So they've
purchase
actually
things.
thought ahead.
Yep, they have gone huge with this one. They're basically saying, let's go. Remember when Belgium said the loot boxes were gambling and EA said, we'll fight you in court? And Belgium basically said, okay, if they find it's not gambling, we'll just change gambling laws. This is pretty much what the EU are doing. They're going, we're just going to change the laws to make every seedy thing you do illegal.
Fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair. Do you know what? I'm all for it. I take back my previous exclamation.
Yeah. Kind of putting us to shame a bit. We've gone, yeah, it is gambling. And they've gone, okay, it's gambling, but also we're not going to say it's gambling, so we can say it's a consumer protection issue. That way we can just sue the living hell out of them if they do
Okay.
anything even slightly wrong.
Okay. But could they swing that around with Nintendo's whole no refunds thing?
Yes.
Good, because quite frankly, that's wrong as well. You shouldn't be refusing refunds. Mistakes can happen. And
Well,
also the whole thing with the Pokemon expansion that wasn't entirely clear on which Pokemon game it was for, and people with the wrong game bought the wrong expansion and couldn't get refund because Nintendo.
that's what I kind of love what the EU's doing here. They're going the way of Australia, where Australia's consumer protection laws are so much tighter, and they're so willing to just sue a company for anything. Like when Bethesda said, "No, sorry, we're not giving refunds for 76," and Australia's consumer protection law went, "All right, we're suing you," and they won, and Bethesda had to give refunds, and it's
I
that.
remember that. That was great.
Yeah, it looks like the EU is going to try and go that way, but not just about refunds. It's going to be, hey, so this game has deliberately slowed progression, forcing people to buy these boosters, but they're optional. Yeah, but that's really manipulative. So guess what? That's not allowed. Oh, on disc DLC? Not allowed. Oh, you deliberately cut content from the game so you could sell it back to the player? Not allowed. They're going to hit everyone for everything. And quite right.
By on
About
disc
time.
DLC, do you mean DLC that you can only obtain if you buy the physical copy?
No, so back in the day there was a trend for like Mortal Kombat 8, 9. Um, what's the four-armed guy's name? Goro?
Yep.
He was actually in the game files, but you had to buy DLC to unlock him, even though he was already in the files for the game.
Okay,
So
so
when you
the
purchase the
DLC was
game,
already there.
yeah, it was on this
Okay.
DLC. It was already present in the game, but you had to pay extra for it. Things like that are probably going to get hit under consumer protection. All of the really seedy stuff they've been attempting to do and slowly seeping in, yeah, gone. Which
Well, yeah, that's
yes,
good.
hit him with it, get him.
FIFA's going to be hit so hard. It's going to be great.
Oh yes, that there were stories of like some kid. This is tragic, and then we will move on because EA is actually the perfect jumping point for the next small story. Some kid spent like 20 grand over the course of 2 weeks, I think it was.
2 weeks?
Yeah, just buying FIFA packs.
What?
No, actually, sorry, that kid spent it on a Fortnite and Twitch, a mix of Fortnite
Oh,
and Twitch. He spent 20 grand.
that's still 2 weeks, 20 grand.
Yeah, that was all of his parents' savings
I was going to
gone.
say, I don't even make that in a year.
That's it's tragic, and I know the whole thing of the parents should be looking out, but 2 weeks isn't enough time for them to have noticed that their entire savings account was gone.
And
Because
I also do have to question the bank where they had their savings.
yeah,
Why did the fraud detection not kick in and block everything before 20 grand disappeared?
I don't know. They have gone to the bank and asked them like, can we get our money back? Because clearly this is technically fraud, but it's not actually fraud. It's a special type of fraud where it's someone in the family has done it, so they won't. There's no way Twitch
Yeah,
is giving them their money back. There's no way
no,
Epic's giving them their money back. So they're
no.
out 20 grand.
And
It's so easy to lose it.
to be fair, as I just stated, the bank's anti or fraud detection or whatever you want to call it should have kicked in. I
Yep.
mean, when I bought my new phone off Amazon, I got a text from my bank saying, "Hey, did you do this?" I was like, "Yes, of course I did. I need a new phone."
Yeah. This kid, it was I'm guessing the parents, because it's a kid playing Fortnite, I'm guessing they put their card on there, purchased some V-Bucks for him or whatever, and then the kid sees it
Ah,
once,
big
and then the kid knows
mistake.
how to do it, and the kid can just boop. Because
Big mistake.
the way the parents look at it is like, yeah, it's $5. Oh, okay, you did your chores and you want some V-Bucks. Okay, there you go. And then when the parents are, I don't know, off cooking dinner, bumping uglies, doing their lives, just out working, the kids at home just boop, 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 boop. 20 grand gone in 2 weeks.
Oh no. See, I mean, I do understand where people come from when they say it's still the duty of the parents, and I'll make this quick because I know you've got another story to jump to. But the one thing that I've never understood is people just being blinded by convenience. Like I've never had. Actually, no, that's a lie. I have had one other person's card on my Xbox account before, but after they bought me whatever it was I wanted at the time, can't remember, I immediately took it off. It's not my card, it's not my money, so it shouldn't be there. But as a parent, don't put your card on there to buy something. You can literally flick straight onto Amazon or eBay or wherever, and you can, or even Microsoft's own store for the sake of the Xbox, and PlayStation's own store for the sake of that's on the internet to get that amount of money to add to that wallet so that you don't have to put your card on there. So that you can just go, here's a code, put that in, you've got that amount of money. Well done for doing your chores.
Think about it this way of it's your console, your kids, hey, Dad, can I play Fortnite? Sure, your card's on there. And to be fair,
No.
these parents aren't, they're not hardcore gamers. They don't sit and play constantly. It's just a convenience that they have that they can go, sure, whatever. One of my sisters is exactly like this, and her child did, in fact, spend way more than was absolutely necessary because it is just, oh, okay, here's $5. That's it. That's it. It was $5. Who cares? Yeah, but the thing is, you can buy $5 a billion times over, and then all of a sudden, 20 grand's gone. I I understand the argument of the parents should know better, but also, how about the games just stop being seedy and trying to rip everyone off?
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm 100% with you. The game shouldn't be seedy and shouldn't be trying to rip everyone off. But there is still that duty of care. That's what I mean. I understand that point of view, But then I think it's because of my own um, stupid choices and mistakes, my own feeding into it, and then realizing what I was doing and stopping, that has given me that insight of, okay, so if I ever have a kid, I am not having my card attached to the console anymore. I will only do everything by buying that
Yeah.
amount in a code because, quite frankly, I wouldn't be willing to risk it.
Yeah, I doubt very much these parents are second time offenders. That
No,
they've been burnt once and then, but the thing is, this one burn is 20 grand.
yeah, I couldn't even, well, I couldn't imagine losing 20 grand. I can imagine spending it. I have a mortgage. The deposit was ridiculous.
But can
I
you
know what it's
imagine
like to
over
be
the
sat
course
there
of
and
two
going,
weeks thinking you have 20 grand in the bank because you're saving up for something? I don't know, you're saving up for a new car, and then end of the
oh,
month
yeah,
statement comes and bang, 20 grand gone all on Fortnite. That kid doesn't survive the next 3 days.
that kid's chores
Anyway,
suddenly extend to the entire neighborhood in the next state over.
yeah. Um, well, EA's terrible. This is a really small one, and I just feel like we should be allowed to gloat. Rocket Arena, it's already on sale, about 83% off, I think it is. It's down to like $5, $6, somewhere around there. We were
Oh,
right. That
yeah.
game should have gone free to play because it's failing immediately. Oof, we were right.
I would like to say that, hey, if you've watched our previous ones, you should know, at least by the screen, if not by the audio, that our motto for EA is fuck EA.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that it's already gone on sale.
We were right. We called it. We said it should have been free to play. We said there was no way it would survive at anywhere close to its price tag. I specifically said I don't know how much it cost, but it needs to be free to play. This will not survive if it's not free to play. And then I think it was when we weren't recording a couple of days after, I said to you that the price tag was like 35 quid, somewhere around
Which
there,
is
35,
far too
40.
steep. And I
Yeah,
remember saying that to you.
and bang, 6. That seems a bit more reasonable. Just go free to play already. Just do it.
Yeah.
Save yourself the hassle.
I mean, why? I know it's not the same genre, but ESO ended up going the same way. And they had the option of ESO Plus. It's not a necessity anymore, but it was at the very beginning. Why would you not understand that there are just some models, some types of games, and when they're done in the same style that EA did this, just why would you not look at it and go, oh, this is doomed? If we charge for this,
Hmm.
it is doomed.
It's EA. They're desperate. The market is so saturated with games so like this.
Yep.
Look at Battleborn. I mean, you can't anymore because it's dead, but that's the point.
Yeah, and also don't look at how they tried to promote it. Just don't. I'm staring straight into the screen at you, the listener, with eyes pleading, don't.
Let's say about this, and then we'll move on to the next small story. Don't ever. Actually, no. Nowadays you can, but back in the day, it was incredibly foolish to attempt to take on the juggernaut that is Blizzard. And that's all we'll say about
Nowadays,
that.
Blizzard is a joke. But yes.
The next EA story was, I'm pretty sure it's EA. It's a failure on my part because I didn't properly look it up because I was just so filled with disgust. Madden, which is an EA title, has been running actual real world ads in their video game again.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And these are proper ads because all of like the sports, industry has pretty much stopped. So like there's no Olympics, there's no World Cup, there's no Super Bowl because of COVID. All of these advertisers are desperate to try and put their money elsewhere, and they've been putting it into EA, and it's kind of ridiculous. I think the advertising team at EA in 2012, 2014, somewhere around there, made $1 million in 1 year. This year, the advertising teams for the entire industry, so okay, yeah, it's not just EA's, but it is the entire gaming industry, has equaled 1.6 billion.
Yeah.
It's kind of exploded.
Yeah. I would like to say, because it's sort of on topic. It's not to do with advertising, but it is to do with sport. I don't know if you had this actually. Actual real life sports, not video game sports, were going to do just a poorer job as video games do at adding in the crowd. I don't know if you heard of that. I wanted to tell you that. I kept forgetting. Yeah. So I think, obviously not being from America, I don't know the organization, but baseball, I think, was the one that was going to be doing it first. And the head of the organization said that it was to make it, and I quote, feel normal. And they have released screenshots, and it honestly does look like somewhere
The packs
between
of blurry meat in the audience are going wild.
Yeah, the quality really, for some of them, looks like it's old PS2, but not, blocky, just weird plastered on 2D rubbish. But the few screenshots that I've seen, it doesn't look like they've done it properly, and in a couple of places you can see people through the chairs or chairs through the people that they have put there. It's but they've done animations as well for cheering and booing and stuff like that.
Why? What's the point?
I don't
Stop.
know. But it's so that when everyone watches it at home, it will, and I quote again, feel normal.
But it's not normal anymore. The time is not normal. That's ugh.
I'm sorry, I had to tell you that one. I kept forgetting.
Well, the last little story we've got is we're past 10 minutes, right?
I think my demonstration of our feelings on EA would have told you yes.
Okay, let me tell you a tale. I want everyone to close their eyes and imagine an amazing game set in the King Arthur's world. But imagine that the gameplay has elements of Monster Hunter. So you're going to be King Arthur with the round table, and you're going to go out and you're going to hunt monsters like Monster Hunter. Fight beasts from myth and legend. How awesome would that be? And of course, the project was called Avalon, and it was cancelled.
Oh.
Now, here's the terrible thing. It was cancelled by a lovely man called Serge Hascoët, or Hascoët, Hascott, Hascunt. This lovely individual has been responsible for the death of a lot of really what could have been amazing games. He's also been completely responsible for the Ubification of all of Ubisoft's games.
Oh
Now,
no.
yes, exactly. That's where this is going. Again, I'm going to take every opportunity to remind everyone about Ubisoft.
I don't mind you
Now,
taking that opportunity. It's just, oh no.
what has blown my mind, I've deliberately told you this part of the story because this is the narrative that Ubisoft has been deliberately pushing. I'm pretty sure, well, they haven't been openly pushing it, but there's been a lot of pieces that have happened to come out right around now. Oh, this Surge has left Ubisoft. He resigned. Oh, and think, all of Ubisoft's games now will be amazing because it won't be this cookie cutter. And that Surge was the head of creative control. So he was the one that greenlit all projects or cancelled every project. And he forced games to go like this and forced them to be very Ubisoft. So he's gone. So think how amazing Ubisoft's going to be. Oh my God, think of the great games. Please don't. This is what Ubisoft are trying to say. Please don't keep thinking about the fact that he's resigned amidst a flurry of sexual assault allegations. Ubisoft kicked him out because he was a sexual assaulter. And guess what? Now they're attempting to cover it up by going, but look, the games will be better. You're not covering this one up. This one ain't going away. You can't just
I
go, ooh.
I feel like if they had just outright fired everyone, I'm not going to say back when they first heard of it, I'm going to use now instead. They actually could have saved more face than just hiding it. Don't get me wrong, it still wouldn't have excused everything that went on, but they should have fired them.
Yep.
Because they should be a black mark on their record.
I'm kind of disgusted in the narrative that they're pushing, and I'm not disgusted in the fact that people have fallen for it. I'm disappointed that so many people have come out with the whole, oh, but think how awesome Ubisoft games will be going forward. Screw that. They're trying to paper over this. They're trying to make you forget. Don't be so short-minded. This is a serious thing that has to be taken seriously. And I doubt very much Ubisoft is the only company. But if this gets
right
swept
now
under
they
the
are the
rug,
centre company.
yeah, if this gets swept under the rug, people at other companies will be far less likely to come out.
Yep.
Because, well, it will create a small storm and then everything will just go back to normal. We've got to keep the pressure on. We have to. Now, I wanted to talk more about this. We've had some discussions privately about how we don't think that you necessarily have to stop playing all Ubisoft games. If you can justify to yourself that you're playing a Ubisoft game, then go right ahead. As long as you take and own the fact what went on behind the scenes. As long as you own the fact that, hey, the creative director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla did resign, admitting guilt that he did commit these terrible things to many women. If you can own that, then go ahead and play it. I won't be, because I
No,
can't
neither will I.
rationalize it to myself.
Same.
Now, that's not us
And
saying, no, you can't ever play a Ubisoft game again. If you can rationalize it to yourself, go right ahead.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine as well. It's they haven't said as much. I haven't seen any action as such, but it did very much seem like they were going to carry on playing Ubisoft games that they were actually interested in. But they weren't aware until I told them of what had happened. And I mean, I'm not going to shame him for it. I'm not going to shame anyone else for it, but I pretty much said the same thing to him that, hey, so long as you own it, as long as you don't go about trying to be all shady and hiding the fact that you're doing it.
Okay, so my next question, and I'm, I haven't been able to settle on this in my own head yet, which is why I figured I'd, ask it here. Is
Hmm.
there a path back for Ubisoft? In your mind, is there something they can do that will make you happy to pick up Ubisoft games again?
It would be an incredibly drastic move, but I feel it's the only move that they could do to even get me to consider buying one of their games again, and that is completely remove Yves, Yves, Yves Gullible from Ubisoft. Just completely remove him. Just he's gone. People immediately under him gone. People immediately under them gone, and offer more than just financial, but offer compensation to those that were used and abused, um, that stuck around with the company, offer them a lot of compensation. Obviously, those that left, give them their fair share of compensation as well, because quite frankly, they deserve to actually be acknowledged by the company as what happened to them was not right, and they deserve not just some poorly written, oh, we're really sorry, open letter to them. It needs to be personal. It needs to be the people that would then be making the decisions after the aforementioned ones have been removed. It would need to be them actually going, look, we are really, really sorry about it. So we have invited you here. We would like to offer you this and this as compensation. If you feel you are entitled to anything else, please say we can come to an agreement. Because quite frankly, until they've done that, Ubisoft aren't even a gaming company in my mind. They're nothing more than a shelter for sexual assaulters.
Yeah, I'm. I just don't know. I kind of think that Eve has to go or Yves has to go, but it feels so drastic. But also he knew, and because
Yeah,
he
he
knew,
knew.
he has to
Exactly.
go.
Exactly. You can't have someone that's I don't know, is willfully ignorant the correct term to use here?
Yeah,
You can't have someone like that in that position of a company, because things like this do find a way of surfacing, and it doesn't matter how they surface, but they do. It doesn't matter how long it takes for it to surface, but it does. And so you need to have someone who's going to be on the ball. You need to have someone that goes, yes, I knew, and what I did was I fired every single one of them, because that's what should have been done. Obviously, the whole suspension investigation, then firing after finding evidence for. It's just, yeah, no company is, I'm going to say honest. I can't say that any company is honest, and I'm obviously excluding charity companies here, but there's still a thing to that. But no company is honest, and every company has its dirty little secrets. Doesn't matter what they are, but they are there. And it doesn't matter if it's years after the company has finished, doesn't matter if it's years after the people that have done it have left. There's always something that comes up about a company at some point about their shady dealings or practices. So why not have someone who's going to be right up there in the chain of command, who's going to go, no, because we will not tolerate it. And quite frankly, I can only hope that more and more people are just going to boycott, for lack of a better word, Ubisoft games and just not buy them.
I real quick the end of this cycle, the end of this gaming cycle, the end of this year basically
Yeah.
is you're going to see so many hypocrites. You're going to see
Oh yeah.
so many people just, oh, but Watchdog Legion's so much fun and it's so inventive. Stop. I I'm going to be disgusted by that because some of the big names that I do watch and engage in, and I respect, have been refusing to cover this. I don't know how many times I've said it to you privately or how many times I've said it on the show. Up until a couple of weeks ago, the only people who were really covering this story were us and Jim Sterling. It's like, how? How can it only be us and Jim Sterling who's covering the story? How is
Yeah,
that a thing?
I'm not I'm not going to name names here, but I did tell you, it was yesterday I think it was, that a certain person on YouTube finally did a story, and it was their first one, and it was only titled as though it was meant to be an update rather than, hey, I'm
Yep.
covering this,
It
which is
was,
atrocious. And any if any of them find this podcast and listen to this podcast and that sounds like you, do better. You have a duty of care there. You should be covering this. Okay, it's going to be a difficult topic to talk about. It's why I was not the one to cover it, but I was all for covering it. I did not feel comfortable being the one speaking about it. So I say, unfortunately, my fellow co-founder here is the one to bring up these sorts of topics, and that's purely because I don't trust my own ability for wording anything in a tactful manner, because I would be so angered by it. I can join in a discussion and I can be as calm as I am now, although I will admit slightly shaking with seething hot rage that I would like to burn through people with, but I can control what I'm saying. If I'm the one bringing up the discussion, I am all sorts of foul mouth, and that wouldn't be good. So you should be covering it categorically.
yeah, I can safely say that the podcast that we did where we actually covered all of the allegations to begin with, and that was probably one of the hardest ones I've had to write. And I've done a lot of writing for this channel, but that was the hardest one. And the amount of conversations that were had in private just to
Yeah,
help and like, hey, this or this, what about this? Do you think this word or this word? It was crazy. But I do absolutely agree. The amount of people, which is why I told the Avalon story to begin with, because the amount of people that went this angle, that went, oh no, oh, Avalon got cancelled, oh no, oh, at least Surge has left, oh, so that means we might get good games. Why did he leave? Cover that. Cover why he left. Oh, he left, oh no. Why though? Because that's the big point here. That's the main thing you should be focusing on. I don't care about a dead game. Sure, it might have been great, but also I don't want a game from this company. Full stop.
yeah. I I've told a number of people at my workplace about what's gone on with Ubisoft. Obviously, the number of people is to the regulars that I know also play, and of the, I think it was roughly about 10 of them. Of the 10, one of them already knew, and one of them had already gone and traded in a bunch of their Ubisoft games. And they'd
Yeah,
actually, and the best thing is, I looked at them and I must have looked at them with a look of disbelief, because they did produce a receipt from game going, that's what I got for them. I was like, oh, all right. And it was just sat in their wallet. And I said, well, good on you then, because I just ended up uninstalling everything.
I I know it probably gets tiring for the listeners for us to keep going on about this one topic because it's I don't know how many weeks in a row we've touched on this in some way or form. We've
Yeah.
hit this topic, and I get it. It's probably just, oh my God, just move on, just go enjoy games. You know what? The moment the rest of the gaming media turns and covers this and actually turns their gaze towards this and takes a decent stance on it, we'll stop. The moment it's not just us and Jim Sterling, the moment other people are actually rallying and going, this was terrible, we'll stop.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I don't think that's coming anytime soon. And I'm sorry about that, but it means every single podcast going forward, I'm going to find a way to slip this in somewhere. Even if it's just right at the end, I just go, oh yeah, and fuck Ubisoft. Or when we're past the 10-minute mark, oh yeah, you guys remember that rape company? Yeah, fuck them. That's it. I'm going to find a way.
And if for whatever reason he's not on the podcast, I will make it my duty to do the same.
Last thing on this topic, and then we are moving on. It's going to be real quick. Fuck Ubisoft. Stop shielding all of these terrible human beings. Fire them all, clean house, move on. And then maybe I'll pick up another one of your video games. I doubt it. I kind of think the whole thing needs to be burnt to the ground. But enough with that one. Let's go to something else that's quite heavy, because that was not actually meant to be the heavy topic.
Oh.
At the start of this week, there was a huge brouhaha about Joe Rogan. And someone had taken clips from Joe Rogan's podcast and basically had him saying that games are a waste of time. Games are just, it's just a waste of time. You can sit there and you can play them for years and get nowhere. It's just a waste. And everyone jumped on him and everyone was like, oh my God, Joe Rogan said it's a waste of time. No. What he actually spoke about was that for him, in his opinion, if you go and spend 5 years doing judo, at the end of the 5 years, you're a black belt. Maybe you can go start your own studio. Maybe you can, take people in and train them. Maybe you can enter tournaments. You've made definitive progress. Where if you sit and play video games for 5 years, you get nowhere. It's a waste of time, was the more whole contextual clip. Which obviously there are issues with anyway, because streamers, casters,
yeah,
gaming personalities, content creators, all of these people have made a living from video games by sitting there and playing
hosts.
it. Not quite there just yet, but maybe one day.
Hey, I'm hopeful.
So am I. Hey, everyone, remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
I felt so underhanded.
Anyway, the side that people didn't cover, and this is probably where I'm going to have to play devil's advocate, because I'm pretty sure I know your feelings on it, and to make an interesting conversation, I will in fact play devil's advocate. He spoke about how it's a waste of time because he's addicted to them. He does in length talk about that he is actually really hyper addicted to gaming. In his office, they have a LAN room, like a gaming room where they go and play. And he used to play so much that his director, the guy who changes the cameras, and Justin, I think his name is. It's not Justin. Justin, I think.
The guy.
Would actually, they'd go in there and they'd play and they'd have fun, and he would leave and he'd say, "No, I'm not playing anymore with you. You're playing too much." And it got to the point where now Joe won't even go into that room. And he treats it like he's an alcoholic, like he is addicted to it to the point where he can't even go in there. He can't have a beer. He can't go in and sit down and play video games because he's addicted to it. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about this is gaming addiction. That is all over the place. A lot of people say it isn't real. A lot of people say it is. What are your thoughts? Is gaming addiction a real thing?
Oh, thank you for putting me in one of the worst spots possible, because honestly, I look at it in terms of it's the same level of addiction that people who smoke weed have. It's nothing more than it's not how do I word this without coming across like a complete arse? Do you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to say it as it comes. If I offend anyone, well,
We'll put his Twitter handle on the screen so you can go
Yeah,
send
you can
hate to
go and
him.
rage at me. I promise you, I'm probably not going to read it anyway because I'm sort of coming off Twitter for a bit because Anyway, I don't think it's addictive in the classical sense. I reckon it's as addictive as it is self-medicating. It's not. It's strange. I'm sat in a position where all I do on my days off is play video games. I do it because it's the only major hobby I'm interested in. Don't get me wrong, I'm interested in other things, just not as much as video games. Now, I can understand why to people outside that looks like an addiction, but it's more of an indulgence rather than an addiction, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that there are people who I'm not saying that there's never going to be someone addicted to it because I'm sure there is, but it's going to be in the same sense where it's actually you're just mentally trapped rather than addicted. Again, if that makes sense. It's something you have to move on from rather than needing to go to, say, rehab or seeking help and that. And okay, you might need help moving on, but it's not going to be the same level as help as treating an actual addiction. The same way that someone who's addicted to Class A drugs is going to need to, say, yes, I need some help and go into rehabilitation. I honestly don't think gaming has that effect. Um, it's it is an issue if the other aspects of your life suffer. I have I have never ignored work in favor of playing video games. I've never decided to cancel going out somewhere in favor of playing video games. I don't do that. So I can honestly, and I can say that I am not addicted. I'm happy to go outside and do stuff. That also being said, I kind of hate being outside because I, you know, kind of find the sort of, there's no polite way to say this, idiots of the general public to be more than taxing on me. And I find I get very aggravated by them a lot. So I stay in a lot, which just means I play more video games. But if he honestly has to treat it like it's alcohol addiction and he has to stay away from that room, then fine. If that gets the job done, fine. But I honestly think that he just needs some time management skills. That's it. And I also think he shouldn't have had a game room at work. That is a fatal mistake. I work nights at a place that is closed for legally 5 hours, but we close for 7 hours just because of the area. And so I have 7 hours locked inside a building where I've got usually not too much to do in terms of physical effort. So if I then suddenly had access to my Xbox in the staff room, it would be stupid. That would be a massive mistake. And even I look at that and go, no, there needs to be the separation. You have to have the separation. It's, yeah,
I'm kind of glad that you've taken this stance, mainly because then I don't have to play devil's advocate. I wholeheartedly believe video game addiction is a real thing, and in fact, it is recognized in medical journals as a real addiction. It is categorized as a real addiction. I think, I think maybe the the muddling of the water comes on the word addiction. I think, is there a physical pull towards it? Yes, I think there is. Because it's the same kind of dopamine rush that people get from using Class A. And you have to do more and more of it and more of it to get to the next high. I think there are people, well, and it's not think, there are people who have killed themselves because they've ignored eating to play video games. If you look at any Korean internet cafe or any Japanese internet cafe, there are stories of people who live there. There's a story of someone who was there for 24 days straight, and they ate very little, they drank very little, and all they did was game, and then they were found dead there. That person was addicted to video games. That person needed the same kind of intervention that a Class A drug user needs. It's not a mind frame that they could get out of. They required professional help. They required someone to come along and go, you need help. It's not just, well, just stop. That's not it. And I know that's not what you said.
No, but the people in my position, there tends to be a vocal majority that do just go, well, just stop it then. So I do respect that. I understand
that's
completely.
Not it. He couldn't. This person who died there couldn't. They were addicted. He was addicted. To the point that he gave up on eating so he could continue to play. If that's not real addiction, I don't know what we're talking about when we say the word addiction. There are plenty of people who have lost jobs. We know someone, I'm not going to mention his name, but we know someone who we used to speak to regularly who lost their company because they became addicted to a video game. Their relationship with their wife and kids almost completely fell apart because they lost their company and because they were addicted to a specific video game. It's not some far off land. We know someone who did that. And it required intervention. It required treating it like alcohol. It wasn't a mindset. It required treating it as if it was alcohol. The same way you can enjoy alcohol and not become addicted to it, there are some people who just become addicted. And I'm certain there's plenty of behind the scenes reasons, things like escapism, things like not feeling fulfilled in certain areas.
The topic I brought up was, we need to look at the background for these people because, and I'm going to use the internet cafe person as an example here because I don't know the exact story you're on about, so I don't know what their upbringing was like. But if they had a poor upbringing, if they were honestly alone until they were in that world, then I get why they were constantly in that world. I get it. But, if the reverse of that I know is that if they had a good upbringing, if they actually had loads of friends and they ignored it all for that, then I don't.
See, but so it's the comparison of there are people who become addicted to video games without a terrible upbringing, just like there are people who become addicted to crack who have a good upbringing. I somewhat suspect they're in a minority, but it's just the same. People use these substances and use these vices as a means of escape or a means of even like let's use Class A. It can just be they do it as an escape. They keep doing it. They keep doing it. Yeah, it's fun. It's an escape, and then suddenly you need it, and that is the case with video games. It's not. It can be. It is the case. Okay, you can use it sensibly and without it having negative effects on your life. But that doesn't mean it's not addictive. I'm pretty sure you could smoke marijuana without becoming addicted. I'm pretty sure you could probably take crack without becoming addicted. That doesn't mean crack isn't addictive. Doesn't mean addiction to Class A drugs isn't a thing. Does that make sense?
Fair point. Well made. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't have to play devil's advocate.
When you brought this up and you said, I'm pretty sure I know your stance on this, I knew you didn't. Because we haven't had a proper in-depth conversation like that about this one. So it's good to have it here, now.
Exactly.
And, yeah, I am willing to have my opinion changed on anything. So long as the opposing opinion is supported by facts, of course. So in this case, supported by facts and evidence, not just someone walking up to me and going, did you know bananas are actually purple, and it walking away? That's not going to change my mind.
My life has been shattered. Oh, God.
But okay, yeah, fair enough. So in that case, I will look into more cases of it and have a look.
It, it's an interesting one.
It did absolutely confuse me when it first came out that it was an addiction. And I actually I don't know if I've told you this, Phil, but at one point when we, because we're the same age, when we were in the back end of secondary school, just sort of like in year 9 before we hit our GCSEs, um, my family kept saying to me, "Oh, you're addicted to it. You're addicted to it." My response was, "Okay, then, how come I can go on a 2 week holiday with you and not miss it? I can go on a 2 week holiday, and every time we went on a 2 week holiday, because we always went around my birthday, I took a book with me because I could guarantee you that for almost half of the holiday, we'd actually just be on the beach. So I'd take a book because
See,
I didn't find falling asleep in the sun on the beach to be anywhere near comfortable or enjoyable for me. I enjoyed being abroad, I enjoyed seeing the sights, I enjoyed getting a bit of culture put in me. It was fine. That came out wrong. Don't.
yeah, I was about to ask, okay, what was his name?
Not like that. It was just a statue, okay? No. I enjoyed going to mainland Greece and seeing where the original Olympic Games were held. I enjoyed being on holiday on the Greek islands, visiting other islands, knowing their individual cultures, stuff like that. The nuances between them, and just like, okay, so this is overruling one for Greece, etc. And then it's just loads of individual things that would, you know, depended on the island. I loved that. I still love that. I'm getting itchy feet. I haven't been on holiday in years. I'm getting itchy feet. I want to go abroad. I just can't afford it. But I can promise you that I could still go abroad and I would not miss playing video games, which is why it always annoyed me when people said, "Oh, you're just addicted to it." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I enjoy it." Which is why when I saw that it was recognized as an addiction, I sort of sat there going, "Really? Really?" But I had never taken the time to look up any of the cases, any of the studies they had done.
It's it is a bit like you can enjoy alcohol socially, but I'm pretty sure you would accept that there are alcoholics.
I have met a few, yes.
So you you can enjoy it socially and you're not addicted to it. And I'm pretty sure you could go on 6 week binger just drinking every single day and still not be addicted to it just because, hey, I'm all good. But there are some people who 2, 3 days of drinking and then that's them addicted forever, and now they can never drink ever again, ever.
Yeah. Like I say, fair point, well made. I get it. I'm just going to have to look into it some more.
Yeah. Which is the correct way of doing it. It's the absolute correct way of going, huh, I never thought about it like that. I'll actually take some time and be intellectually honest and go, I'm gonna look into it some more.
I don't get people who can't do that. Honestly, I just don't understand that mentality, and there's no point trying to make me. I just can't.
So you're being not intellectually honest when I was complimenting you about being intellectually honest.
Yes.
Fair. All right. Let's get the last two bits out of the way. Video game recommendation, because again, we do actually love video games here. We actually love them a lot, even though all we ever seem to
We
talk about
moan.
is the hell that is the video game landscape. Um, I was thinking of what would be a good one. We were having, plenty of discussions. Then yesterday we played Grounded, and it immediately made me go, okay, this one isn't that great. And I'm pretty sure I'm going insane because everyone else is saying it's amazing, so maybe I need to give it another go. But Subnautica. Subnautica is amazing. It's the less I tell you about Subnautica, the better. It is completely underwater. I say completely underwater, there is land. It's the vast majority underwater, so if you have a problem with that, get over it, go with it anyway. Um, yeah. I love Subnautica. I think it's an amazing game, and I think you should play it. It runs like a pre-warning. It runs like trash. It is optimized so terribly, and there are plenty of glitches and bugs, and there are plenty of weird little things. Like when you save the game, don't move. Just sit there, let it save until the save icon has disappeared, and then save it again and wait for the icon to disappear. You have to do that. If you don't do that, then your save is going to be gone forever. And I specifically remember talking to Reese about it whilst he was playing it, and I was telling him about all of these things he has to do to make it work for him. And he mentioned something to me like, "This is terrible." I was like, "No, it's really not. You're terrible. The game is amazing. You just have to learn to whisper its glitches, learn how the glitches talk back, listen to the echo of the glitches in the deep. When you go glitch, and it will glitch back. You just gotta learn to work with it, and there's actually something amazing there,
Whisper
and the
its
story is
glitches.
amazing.
Whisper its
Like,
glitches.
that's the thing. You have to become a glitch whisperer to enjoy that game, but it's fantastic. The story
I
is one of the best.
I would like to let our listeners know that I have seen a bit of Subnautica. It actually happened when I went round Philip's house. He played a bit. He showed me a bit. I appreciated it for what it was. However, my absolutely, and I will acknowledge, completely irrational fear of deep water, even though it's a video game, no, I just can't bring myself to play it. I honestly, it's bad enough when we play Sea of Thieves and I suddenly find myself overboard. I just want to throw up. No. I would like to say I'd recommend it because what I've seen of it does look good. I just know I could not play it.
We might have to do something like once we hit a certain subscriber milestone, we'll do an entire gameplay series of you playing through Subnautica. Just as they're like, "Hey, we hit this many subscribers. Now we're going to torture Menzies and make him play Subnautica."
Well,
It's going to be amazing.
I'm going to bring a bag. But yeah, no.
Are you ready for the best recurring segment on any podcast? Factually, this is the most anticipated segment every week. You can tell every other podcast to go to hell. It's this one segment that I know everyone is after. Menzies is mildly interesting.
And because I hate you so much, I'm never giving you the chance to pick a number again. So today's one, I could tell you it's whatever number I like, but it is actually number 54. IKEA is an acronym which stands for Ingvar Kamprad Elmterid and Agunarid. I am so sorry if I've butchered that for anyone. Which is the founder's name, the farm where he grew up, and the hometown.
See, now that was mildly interesting.
I hate myself.
I do too. Not me. I hate you.
Thanks. Well,
This is the most anticipated segment every week.
no,
Like,
it
the,
isn't.
the rest of the hour or so that we talk is nonsense, and people just skip just to this.
No, they don't. Stop
I've
trying to
seen the
make me
metrics.
feel better. No, you haven't.
Okay. That's it. That's it for this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed the ramblings. If you did, share it with someone. Maybe they'll also enjoy our ramblings and enjoy us telling Ubisoft to take a long, hard rod in its unmentionable zones.
If you didn't enjoy his ramblings, I'll put his Twitter handle up so you can go rage at him.
Don't do that. Just rage at the Sometimes Serious Twitter account because I'm on there as well. That's pretty much me. Check back tomorrow for the Sunday show. We've got something a little different. We're trying something a little different. It's just gonna be a little test. So hopefully you enjoy that. That's gonna be a goodbye from me. Goodbye, bye bye, and a goodbye from Menzies.
Goodbye.